Thrive Talks is back after a summer hiatus
Yes.
with all of the fun.
Yes.
So welcome. And what are we talking about today, Sasha?
Creatine.
Creatine.
We are talking about creatine because it is all the rage right now.
Yeah. And I get constant questions.
Right? Same girl, same.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to dig in. But first, because you might be new here, who are we? What do we do? Sasha?
Yes. Okay, I'll start. My name is Sasha Myers. I am a strength and conditioning coach. And this is my lovely co-host today, Michelle Shepard. And her assistant, Loki.
Yeah, absolutely. You give me one sec while you talk, and I'm going to get our assistant, Loki.
My lovely co-host, Michelle Shepard, who owns and operates West Coast Nutrition and is a registered dietitian. So, registered dietitian, strength and conditioning coach, match made in heaven.
And if you can't tell, we are filming this live, even if you're watching the replay, which is why there's a dog barking.
Yes, because it's real life.
Absolutely. And for both of us, although trainer, nutritionist, we also run Thrive After 35, which is a group program for women in perimenopause, so 35 and up, who are looking to get fitter, healthier, leaner, and just kind of cut through all the BS out there. So do it in a way they can sustain. And we will talk more about that another day.
Yes.
Well, let's dig in. So Sasha's going to throw some of the most common questions at me. And if you guys have questions, just make sure you either find us on Instagram or here and comment, and we will share them in a follow-up email.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so I'm going to be the hard-hitting journalist right now. Are you ready?
I sure hope so.
Okay, there is lots of hype about creatine for women over 35. Mm-hmm. What does it actually do?
So traditionally, creatine, we think about it as an energy source in cells. So it makes ATP. It's one of 3 energy systems we have. And it's usually been studied in sport, and so it's the one that we use for quick movements, so short bursts like sprinting or power or lifting something really heavy. And traditionally also studied in male college-age men who are athletes. And so up until now, we've thought that it improves, you get more reps, you get a little bit more energy out of a workout, and so you can see more improvement in something like muscle mass, which is so important at our stage for leanness, strength, bone health. But newer research shows that it's not just in muscle that oral creatine affects, but if you take more of it, actually gets into your brain.
That's
and
amazing.
It is part of the brain's energy metabolism too, because cells are cells. And so we're seeing much more research about the way it affects cognitive function, memory, reaction time, mood, as well as things like muscle, bone health, and strength.
So I'm going to add something in here, like a fun fact, actually, to relate it to the gym too. So when we take rest time between our sets, like our heavy lifts or explosive lifts and stuff like that, you'll sometimes be like, oh, why do I have to take such a long rest? So super fun fact, like what she was saying, ATP takes about 30 seconds to regenerate to about 70%, meaning like in 30 seconds, you have about 70% of what you had when you originally started. You need at least 90 more seconds to get that remaining 30% of ATP, and creatine actually helps get more of that in there. You still need to take your full, like, say, 2-minute recovery to be ready to hit that next, like, kind of big lift or explosive lift, like, with that same intensity, but helps that too. So helps you in the gym.
Absolutely. And that's what that, like, phosphocreatine, like, energy system. And I will say, if, like me, if you have ADHD or you're just easily bored, I do other things on my break because I hate waiting. So I will, like, roll my neck, I will stretch a thing. It's okay if you struggle too.
Yeah. Okay, so next question here that I'm going to ask you. So with all of this stuff, is it enough for you to change what you take, and like, what do you tell your female clients?
So this is actually somewhere my practice has changed, and I think it's really important that your healthcare providers do change their minds. So when I first started, you know, as a dietitian 15 plus years ago, when I did sports nutrition training and practice, we didn't have the research we have now. And so what I will say is in the last few years, the research that's come out on both women, particularly women over 35, because we see a lower ability to have that energy production in the cell, especially in the brain, so that cognitive function now and later, it has changed a ton. And so I actually recommend it to more women than I used to, especially if they've got that chronically low energy, even though they're sleeping, they're working out and not seeing progress in the gym, they're not getting stronger, fitter, despite that good effort. Or if the cognitive parts of perimenopause, so the brain fog, you can't remember why you walked into a room, if that's a real struggle for them and their meals are balanced, they're doing all the good things, I do trial it. It doesn't work necessarily for everyone, but a good 6 to 8 weeks at a appropriate full dose, which we'll talk about in a sec, does sometimes improve that, and it's absolutely worthwhile.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so you led me right into my next one, because I am like down to the brass tacks type of person. So like dosing. Like, how much of this
Yeah.
like magic powder do we need? Let's just put it like this.
And
This
this
sounds
is,
like
I
magic.
feel like we've entered a new era where the magic powder we talk about now at parties with friends is for sure creatine. And so typically we started with those studies in male college-age athletes. It usually worked out to about 5 grams per day. And we used to do a loading dose, which you don't really need unless you're like competing for something in a week. But the newer research actually shows that doses of 10 to 20 grams are where you get that therapeutic benefit for cognitive function, for that increased muscle mass. Because as estrogen declines, we have a harder time with energy production in the cell, with holding on to muscle. That additional dose seems to be of more benefit to women in both of those categories.
So like a typical scoop is going to be about what, 5 grams? So
you would usually,
like about
you'll want to
2
check your
scoops?
bottle because there's no regulation on how big a scoop is. But yes, so usually be at least 2 scoops. And if you have a sensitive gut, I would recommend starting with 5 for a few days and then gradually increasing it. The other is that you don't have to chug it all at once. It's more important you get it in every day than you like chug it post gym or before gym. Like
Personal
a gym bro.
question.
Yeah.
When do you take your creatine?
I put it in a water bottle in the morning and then I sip on it over the day.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I take my supplements in the morning. I put everything like in a little water cup and I have a milk frother and I froth it up and I take my vitamins and do it. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
There is no right way. I was just actually curious.
Yeah. And you do not need to chug it. So a lot of the studies have that like within a certain hour or time and then they check, but that's because they're studies. We are going after like real world benefits. So blood levels getting high enough to saturate muscle, brain cells, those tissues is more important consistently than like getting it in that short time for that like therapeutic, you're gonna lift one more deadlift. That's not what we're after here. We want to feel better.
So then that kind of leads me into the next question. Like, should we be taking it only on like workout days or should we be taking it on non-workout days? Like, I feel like you kind of answered that, but
yeah, and I think it's an important one. And so if someone tells you to only take it before your workout, please run. They don't know how creatine works and they don't know how energy metabolism works, which is okay, but they shouldn't be advising you on it. So creatine for our purposes, right? Not everyone's an expert, but you should know where you're not an expert, right? And so with this, for these benefits, you should be taking it daily because you want that saturation before you work out, number one. So chugging it beforehand ain't gonna do it.
I want you to have that saturation before your workout.
So do I. I work at 7 a.m. in the morning with this one. And she's a morning person. I need the extra. But especially those cognitive benefits, again, it's about saturating that tissue more than anything. There's a few studies showing that super dose may improve, mental fatigue, cognition, if you're sleep deprived. So if you can kind of chug it. But for that long-term benefit, really just getting it in daily is most important.
Okay. So then what about like the dreaded gut issues that you hear like the gym bros
100%.
talk about?
And I'm going to get a little TMI here because the thing that makes me laugh is on every like post or video you see of like a podcaster talking about high creatine doses, there is a gym bro who's like, you're gonna shart so bad. And I'm like, okay, sure. Like, and I'm glad gym bros feel comfortable talking about poops. Poops are normal. We all do them. But generally, what I find, and I have a sensitive gut, I see a lot of gut clients, is if you start slowly and work up, and if you're just kind of working it in, like put it in a bottle, drink it over a few hours. I haven't had many issues with clients. So generally with bloating or diarrhea or cramping. So get to the dose you can tolerate. Try spreading it out if it feels hard on the gut. But if you're not taking it like a gym bro, you're probably going to be okay, especially if you go slow.
Okay, I have 2 more questions for you.
Yeah, please do.
Okay, so the first one is like, is there anything that women in particular should watch out for when they're taking creatine? And then the second one is, when you are purchasing creatine, what should you be looking for? Should you be looking for third-party tested or not? Because it's kind of like a very accessible supplement. Like you see it in Walmart, I see it in like Superstore, I see it in sports supplement stores. Like, is there a better, I could order on Amazon. Like is there a better version or better quality?
100%.
So those are my 2 questions.
Okay, and let's start with the first one.
Okay,
so I think the first one is things to watch out for when you start taking it. And the one that usually gets my clients is actually water retention. So they'll start taking it, they're feeling good, and then the scale goes up 3 pounds. And because most women have been conditioned to be associated with weight, they freak out. They're like, oh my God, like what is this? All that is that creatine, much like carbs or salts, when you eat a lot of them, they hold water with them in the tissues. And so you'll see that number pop up. If you are really water sensitive, you might see like your fingers or toes get a little fluffy. So like your ring will be tight. That typically settles down within a couple weeks for most of my women if they can hold out. And to be clear, this is not fat mass. You are not fatter. You do not weigh more in any way that matters. It is just water,
Yeah.
right? It's like having drank extra and your body's taking longer to push it out.
Okay.
So, but knowing that can reduce the panic that sets in because so many of us are working on leanness at this stage.
Well, because you hear so much, oh, I'm bloating. I'm like, I have all of this, like, creatine makes you bloat. Like, that's what you hear.
And that's usually what people are talking about, is actually that water retention and not GI bloating unless they're chugging it pre-workout.
Okay.
And then the second is when you're purchasing it, what do you look for? And so I will say most of the research is done on creatine monohydrate, which is a salt. And for most people, that's totally fine. Again, my gut can be a little touchy and I'm tolerating pretty good doses of it spread out over a few hours. If you are super sensitive, creatine, HCl, or hydrochloride has fewer gut issues, but it is harder to find and quite a bit pricier. So up to you. If your gut is super tender, go for that one and see, or try monohydrate and test it out. The other thing is I've noticed just personally, a ton of difference in how it dissolves amongst brands.
Okay.
And they're all going to say microionized. They're all milled pretty finely because it's a powder. But creatine is not super soluble in water. And so I will say play with them. I take Allmax. They don't pay me. But I tried a few other brands from brands that I usually buy things from and just found that they all sat at the bottom. And I was like constantly shaking my water bottle. And they do, you can dissolve it in hot water or tea or coffee. Hot stuff dissolves better. But if the first one doesn't work, just try another one. And as far as third-party testing, if you can find one that's third-party tested, so Allmax is, and there are some others, all that means is they've sent that ingredient or that product to someone else to make sure there's nothing in it there shouldn't be, that you're getting how much they say you have. And that's ideal. That being said, some of us do not have time or budget for third-party tested, so look for something reliable, so at least a brand you recognize, and go with the best you can in your budget. It does not have to be the super fancy one.
Was excellent, Michelle.
I'm so glad.
Okay, so now we want to know, like, do you take creatine? Like, how do you take it? Like, what brand do you like? What do you mix it in? Like, tell us all your creatine stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I'm boring because I mix mine in water with, like, my other supplements in the morning and froth it up.
I make
and,
a magic potion every morning, and it's got my
do.
creatine, it's got an electrolyte, it's got water.
Too?
Tea's winter, so summer just been my electrolyte. In the winter, I'll make tea, but
in the fall, winter, don't you do tea with it?
Usually, because there's a few powders now. Being 41 means I need a little more support, and actually we've got it here. So I usually just fill up with everything in the morning, and then at least know my first bottle's gone. I've taken what I need to take. And so that makes it really easy. And that routine, as someone who doesn't have great working memory with both ADHD, a concussion, and perimenopause, I don't have to fuss about it during the day. You're very regimented, so I feel like you're real good.
I am very regimented. Like, I will just have everything laid out. Michelle, last question. What is the take home for today? For all of the people watching, like women watching, what would you hope that they took home about what you said about creatine?
I think creatine can be a really powerful additional tool or like sprinkle on the cupcake when it comes to health, energy, fitness, body composition in your 30s and 40s.
Maybe it's not like the panacea that social media makes us believe it is.
No, and I think
but it is very helpful.
It's always important to remember that things, your like top 3 that are going to move the needle, both how you feel now and that longevity part, because like I want to be biking around Italy drinking wine when I'm 80.
Yes, together.
If you're not getting food, movement, sleep, the sprinkles aren't going to be very effective, right? So you might feel a little bit better, but focus on those first. Know that these can be really impactful, but they're not a cure-all in and of themselves. And if you don't tolerate something, there's going to be other ways to get those benefits. So don't freak out that your life is over if creatine just doesn't work for you.
I love that.
I love it. Well, we are like so pumped to be back. We had a little hiatus over the summer so we could enjoy adventures. But we would love to hear what you guys want to hear about next on Thrive Talks.
Whether it's like workout, nutrition, or a combination of workout.
Health stuff. We love guest experts.
Because guess what? Like, I am training for a High Rocks.
Oh, yeah. And I'm sports nutritioning her for a High Rocks.
So, like, come on, hit us with those questions. Because there's going to be a lot of that stuff going back and forth between
and
us
give me your best tips on being a good cheerleader. Or Lululemon outfits. This is my job, is to look cute and show up with snacks. So we are thrilled to be here. And let us know what questions you have. Bye, guys.